What's up, everybody? This is That Comic Show Roundtable Discussion. It's a little late, because the movie came out this past weekend, but we here tonight on a Monday night, a little different. Mother's Day was yesterday, so everybody here was doing the right thing by making sure the mothers in our lives were taken care of. And it just, I love this. I love this because it's going to play into some stuff next, like later on in what we're doing. But I want to say what's up to my man's Color by Style. Good to see you.
What up? Good to be here.
All right. Got my man, I Am Legend. Good to see you.
What's up, man? I'm ready, man.
All right.
Ready.
Damn. So this is how we're going to do it this time, right? Usually we go through the pros, the cons, speculations, all that stuff. And then we give our score at the end. This time around, we're going to give our score at the beginning. And then after our conversation, we're going to see if our score changed based on, our different approaches, our different reactions to the film. Okay. So I want to do this right. So we're going to start with Color by Style. We're going to make our way around.
That's a setup. When y'all go back and watch this, when he said we're going to do this right, Color by Style, that's already a setup. He knows what he was doing.
I'll go first.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna take. We all got a role to play, like Simon on what's it, American Idol. We all got a role to play. Cool. I know mine. So my score is I'm gonna go if I can do this 8.25.
8.25. Wow.
Yeah, 8.25
out of 10.
Wow.
Out of 10, 8.25.
Okay. I'm Legend.
You want me to go next? Okay. Since we're doing points and stuff, so I had it when I first left the theater. I had it at a 7 because I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great, and I left kind of underwhelmed and a little bit upset. High. So then I was like, I can't give it a 7 because I gave Ant-Man like a 7, and it's better than Ant-Man. Like even just the things I didn't like about it. It's still better than that. So I'm settling at a 7.5 now. But even that might be a little bit low. It's between a 7.5 7.7. That's where I'm at right now. Okay. It might go low down after this conversation. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. I'll tell you this. When I was watching it, I got to a certain part and I was like, this is the greatest Marvel film right now. Because of certain things that they showcased, I was like, confirmation. Finally, we got our toys back. That's how I was feeling. Once I got towards the end of the movie, I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 out of 10.
So let me drop my score. I feel like I can drop my score. If I'm closer to him, that's not a good thing.
Nah. You gotta stay where you at.
8.25. You there?
You gotta stay where you at.
You can't even round it up to 9, so you're good. All right, those are our scores. So let's get right into it right now. Let's talk about the pros. Let's get the pros out the way because I feel as though that we got a lot of cons about this movie.
Not at all, but
yeah, I don't think there's a lot of cons about this movie. No, I think
okay.
I actually think it's easier to start. Well, I don't know. We'll see. The pros are fun because I'm sure we're going to disagree on cons. I'm sure whatever the con is, we are going to disagree on it. So. I guess you start off with me. So pros. The first thing that I think hit me was I think we got to see more expansive use of magic in a way, and I really enjoyed that. I share with you guys, those who watch this in the chat, that I genuinely love Doctor Strange. Funny story. My mom just delivered me all of my comic books from my house in Jersey, and I remember just like reading his run on Chris Pichello. Chris Pichello was the artist. I think Michael Bendis was one of the writers for that story. It was just amazing. And Doctor Strange knows magic, right? He is not just the Sorcerer Supreme. He is, as the Ancient One said, he's supposed to be the best of them. And so just to get a glimpse of how, like, while Wong is Sorcerer Supreme, like, Doctor Strange was pulling out stuff. I don't know if anyone peeped the distance hands thing, because that's going to look like somebody else's power later on. But I was like, all right, Doc, you was throwing it out there. So for me, I'm going to start off with that. That's my first pro if we do multiple rounds. But like my first pro was just the ability to see magic the way that we did. was really nice. Even the music thing, which is a little shout out to Fantasia. I don't know if anyone else picked that up too.
Yeah.
I thought that was, some people like, oh, it's corny. I was like, he's a magic user, right? He does different stuff. So I thought that was dope. So magic was nice.
Yeah, it made sense. Even that whole fight where they was using the lyrics or the chords or whatever, that was amazing to me. And just sticking with Doctor Strange himself, I like his character build. I like how, like, we all ever since watching What If, we all knew like, yo, Strange is that one. And I'm glad that we got to see it, that in every universe, the universe either dies because of Strange or is saved because of Strange. Like everything points to him. Like he's being like that main focal point in the MCU now. So I thought that was amazing. Like you said, like I like how like I said, we always get like new tricks. He never does the same magic trick. We never see the same thing with him. So that's dope.
Yeah. I mean, what I really enjoyed, just to stick with the magic thing, is that they made a clear distinction that magic and witchcraft are two different things.
Which is, we definitely need to talk about that because I'm like, what?
Please explain it, because they said it, but
and they tend to think that sorcery
it.
and witchcraft is different.
Yeah. So I love the fact that they made it very distinctive. I mean, outside of just using the different color schemes to kind of show you like, all right, well, this is the power of the Darkhold, this is the power of the sorcerers. Like they clearly show that in the color. However, I loved even the scene where Wanda is in Kamar-Taj and she's walking through that entire sequence was, to me, it was brilliant done, because like we got a chance to see the two strongest sorcerers, witchcraft, whatever, going head to head. And even then, it seemed as though that Wanda had a trump card for everything that Steven did. And I like that.
I was gonna say it didn't look like it was an actual battle at all. It just looked like it was a spanking the whole,
which is
the whole movie.
I'm gonna leave that to my con.
I can understand why you would put that at con, but to me, like for me, like Wanda was like always the most powerful in the universe, up there with Phoenix and.
We talking about MCU or talking about actual
MCU?
Comic book?
MCU.
But we haven't seen the Phoenix yet. That's why I got confused. Not trying to pick it apart.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like, are you saying like she's up there with like Miss Marvel though? Like Thor, Miss Marvel, Wanda.
She's past them, I think. In my mind, she's the strongest we ever seen so far in the MCU.
I would say so far, yeah. Because I was like before, because somebody asked this on another point. I think it's a reasonable connection. Somebody was like, could she have beaten Thanos on her own? And I think if she had the Darkhold, absolutely, one. And two, if she was aware of her powers, like if she was really understood like at the root of her powers, I think absolutely it would have been a competition. I think it would have been a wrap.
Yeah. And that's why I really love the fact that, they started with WandaVision as the first Disney Plus TV series. And, the first few episodes, you really don't get a chance to understand it. But once you get to like fifth and sixth episode, get to the final episode and everything like that, you get an idea of just the potential of her power and the limits of her power and how strong she actually is. If we're going to use a comparison, she got her power, or her power was awakened by the Mind Stone, right? Mm-hmm. And when you go to Captain Marvel, same thing. But for her, she has another level above that, in my opinion, because of the fact that she had gone through the Darkhold, and the Darkhold possesses the soul and corrupts the soul. So, and she is the legendary Scarlet Witch. Yeah. So all those things kind of give me the impression that, this is the strongest, entity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. And I really like the fact that they showed that.
I think another pro too that I need to add, and it is somewhat connected to a potential to a con, is I did like the introduction of the multiverse and at least what the potential is out there. Even the sequence, just the simple sequence of them when the Strange first goes through, and getting this idea that like there's some universes where you're just paint, Chief. Like that's all you are. You just paint. Or there's I think I watched it again and I was like, I think I peeped something. And it's not the big one that everyone saw. There was a smaller nugget that I was like, interesting. Get out of here, Jake. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me focus on this right here. that made me really think that this is a good opportunity, and we get to build off this idea of variance that we got in Loki. So when we see the different things, when we see Baron Mordo and realize like, yo, why is he like what? It makes sense, right? Because he's a variant of him. So I thought I was a pro. Absolutely getting the feel of the multiverse. That was definitely good.
Okay. Another pro that I have is the whole horror aspect of everything. Like, I'm pretty sure this might be. I'm trying to think if there's another MCU movie that we actually seen like jump scares and like little horror, PG-13 type of horror.
Didn't we get that in what's that movie? That I'm gonna forget the name. The X-Men team. That was so terrible.
Oh, see now I say MC. All right, come on.
Why
are you doing this?
What's the name of the team?
New Mutants. I know.
Yes. Didn't we get that in New Mutants?
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
It was scary for a whole different reason. I like I said, I think we already talked about it with Wanda. Just like how they made her like the main entity that's just coming at you. Like the whole movie, like she got one track mind. She's trying to do this one thing, trying to accomplish this one thing, and it doesn't matter who's in her way. She's trying to accomplish it. And I didn't catch that in the beginning when the first time I seen it. It's how they started the movie. They was getting chased by that squid monster, and I'm thinking like, damn, who sent this squid monster? Like,
yeah.
And then you realize like, oh, that was Wanda the whole time. She's the one that's been sending these creatures after this girl. I didn't catch that at first. My first viewing. But that actually,
when you watch it twice, if any, how many of us did that? I think there were clues on it that I'll go, oh, okay, that's what they were trying to lay out there. If you look at it closely,
the little stuff on the
which I think is the difference to answer previous questions. So I think the difference between sorcery and witchcraft is, I think witchcraft deals, I would say, in that realm of like potentially mutant power, where you can start controlling minds, and you can utilize runes to control other people. Whereas opposed to sorcery, I think usually is a manipulation of things that already exist, whether they exist in our dimension or elsewhere. So sometimes you see, I'm guessing like when Strange does something, he's actually pulling like a creature from another place, putting it here. And in the comic books, that's something, again, in Chris Boccello's run as an artist, that was pretty highlighted, that nothing that happens in sorcery happens without cost. And it's an amazing storyline. Nothing in sorcery happens without cost. Everything takes a toll. And if y'all ever get a chance to read those in the volume graphic novel versions, it's wild, because like he ends up having to eat crazy stuff. He ends up having to because everything he did had a cost, but what he didn't show Wong is that like he would just put off the cost elsewhere. Like and then it basically came out later on, because he's strange, right? He always finds a way to like leverage the information, which also was a pro for me here. You did get to see how like at the end of the day, he is always going to keep he's mostly going to keep the big picture in mind. And he's very Tony Stark like in that regard, if not more so.
Yeah.
One of my pros, and I think all of these are great points. I find it, when it comes to Marvel's marketing, and when it comes to Marvel's plans as far as like scheduling their movies, it's no coincidence that this movie came out on Mother's Day weekend. So as much as this film was called Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I felt as though this movie was just as much as a story of or a compilation of Wanda's story, where she's trying to find her children that she came up with, that she created, conjured up in her mind. And she's showing the love of a mother. And even though her love is misguided and now corrupted by the Darkhold, it showed that a mother's love is legit undying. And I know all of us can relate to that, right? Where a mother would go high and low for their children. Like, you could be in jail and the mother would say, no, he's innocent. Yeah, he killed like 30 people. No, he's innocent. It's like, is that type of unconditional love, agape love, kind of. And I think this movie did a real good job showing that even though she's not technically a villain, in the sense
she a villain. She
was villainous. She was villainous, my guy.
She was scorching people.
Villainous, but if you look at the reason as to why she was villainous, it wasn't like she wanted to take over the world. It wasn't like she wanted to
kidnap kids, Corey.
Does that make it okay? That does not make it okay.
Corey, she's gonna kidnap kids.
Again, that's the power of a mother. Like, none of us are mothers, so we don't know that type of power that a mother has, that type of love that a mother has, that even though something is wrong, morally wrong, justifiably wrong, evil in a case, we can still kind of understand the motivation. And I think that's where Marvel has been going with their villains as of late. Where even if you look at Shang-Chi, like the father, even though he was supposed to be the villain, his motivation was to save his wife. And he thought that by letting this thing out, he would save his wife.
He was being manipulated there because that wasn't his. His mind was being touched, and that's why I actually want to pull this out for two things. One supports your theory. The other, I think we should be mindful that Wanda, technically, while she made up her kids in this universe, one might say that her ability to do so comes from the fact that she's a Nexus being and was aware that she had children. Period. Yes. And so what she actually did was manifest what already was, but just hadn't yet been in this universe. Let me get that timeline right. And so this is where I will say that's her root. And yet I look at the idea that like she's villainous because I think the Darkhold absolutely corrupted her mind and took what was wholesome. Because I think a mother in her right mind would go to any length to save their own children, except when it puts them in direct conflict with children of another mother, which is what we saw, right? I think that's a pro too, because when brought face to face with herself, it was like, nah, I can't do this. Is some wild. That being said, the time in between, she was absolutely a villain because I think the Darkhold had a deep root and corrupted that beautiful thing you talked about, Corey. But it made her like a villain, dog. She wiped out people cold blood.
She did, but again, it wasn't like
that was her being reasonable.
But it wasn't as if she did that because she wanted to prove her power. It wasn't like she did that because she had world domination or multiverse domination plans. All she was trying to do is get to her kids.
So I think that you belittle other villains in making it seem like just because they want to take over the world that makes them villains. My thing is, you look at Thanos. Like Thanos, to me, I can still consider him a villain yet, but I think his reasons are absolutely I think they're more justified than Wanda's. If you consider resource management as a very real thing, right? Unless we create an infinite resource, like theoretically, if you don't call the growth, it will exponentially grow greater than the resource that you have to sustain it. So what he did was I actually think was beneficial, made sense, and yet my man still took out half of a universe. So
yeah, it's like one villain is logically thinking, while the other one is just with feelings based, and with feelings based is like anything,
which is kind of unfair to the woman because it's like it does make her seem irrational. Well, again, your point holds, Corey, that her at the root of it, the core of it is that loss, which is heavy. Which I do. That's my first con. I'm already ready.
Let me add one last point. Okay. And even towards the end of the movie, when she finally saw who she became, and she was confronted with that, because she was there already. Like she had that moment with the other Wanda already. And because her children didn't recognize her as their mother, but as a monster, it kind of got her to that point where I see where the destruction, I see where the excuse me, I see where the errors of my ways has taken me, and I allowed this Darkhold to take hold of me. And she decided to destroy essentially the Darkhold. I mean, we could still say, there's a chance that she might be alive. She's the Nexus being, so maybe that didn't stop her. And I think Doctor Strange kind of confirmed that the Darkhold still has a residual of power. Yeah. So that was my whole thing. I as much as I enjoyed it being a sequel to Doctor Strange and kind of leading up to every decision that he's made from Endgame, from Infinity War all the way to No Way Home, and then into this movie, the decisions that he's made kind of led to this point to an extent. For me, I just really enjoyed the story arc that they created for Wanda.
Oh, let me not loosen this because it will be a part of my con. I think a pro was getting to see some of the characters that we saw in the multiverse, and an incredibly important nod and an incredible moment for me. When you hear that small little like
X-Men thing,
that was a subtle, you had to have grown up on that, man. You had to have and I want to throw a religious nod, but people honestly get it. So like, you have those snuck seeking cartoons on a Saturday morning type joint to like know
Facts.
where you're getting at.
Yeah.
Like that was.
Facts.
Now colors.
If you know, you know. That's what I'm saying.
Now colors. As we go into the cons,
That's exactly. I am ready to go.
Imagine if you was at a theater and you seen that happen, you heard that happen, and you had no idea he was in this film. Would you feel way better about
Now,
it? Would
hold
you be
on.
more
My
hyped
answer
about
is
it? More surprised about it?
But when I pointed that out for No Way Home, y'all thought I was crazy because I think that is part of my issue. But we're not at the cons yet, Strange. Legends, we're not at cons yet, so I'm gonna pull back.
No. Go ahead.
I'm gonna wait for our moderator to let us go there.
All right, so before we get the cons, let me talk about the pros for this part right here.
Okay,
So, for me, personally, I wasn't bothered by that reveal. Even if the TV spot was very touch of hand like that, I wasn't really bothered because they already made it known that he was in the movie. So now it's like, okay, they could do this right by having the original characters from the Illuminati there, or they could do this very wrong. In my opinion, based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I thought they did okay with two of the characters. I was okay with obviously Black Bolt. You need that. And I love the fact they got the original actor from that god awful ABC special.
Poor him.
But they got the right actor. Obviously, Xavier.
Yo, why do y'all never give Captain Carter her respects, dog?
I'm just getting to Captain Carter. Now, I love the fact that we had her. Now, Monica Rambeau. Well, not Monica. What's her name? Not Monica.
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
But it's her mom.
Yeah, her mother. I could have did without that. I would have hoped. We couldn't see Iron Man. And I get why we couldn't see Iron Man. That's an absolute point. He's dead. He's gone. So I get that. But I did want to see Namor. I was hoping to see Namor.
Nah, because here's the truth of that. I don't think, if I remember correctly, if I read the first Cabal when the first Illuminati comic came out, I don't think Namor was a part of that group. He comes in later.
Nah, he was there.
For the original, I thought the original was Black Panther. He was offered, but he ends up leaving Iron Man, Doctor Strange.
Black Panther came in later.
No, he was invited originally. He left and he came back.
Right.
The first meet was at Wakanda. It was at his country.
Who else? Doc Strange, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
We should look it up. I don't think Namor was a part of the original group. I think he ended up being a part of the Cabal.
Namor was a part of the original group. But while you're looking that up, the fact that they had Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards.
Yeah, buddy.
For me, that was major for me because number one, they got the actor that everybody has been asking to play this role, and that kind of confirms to me that one.
Oh yeah, you're right. Dang it, I knew the artist too. Yeah. You're right. I apologize. Namor was definitely a part of the first one.
Told you.
So I would have loved to have seen him, but then again, and some eagle-eyed people they caught this. There was a seventh chair that was empty, so that could have been Namor.
But that would have been for Steven though. According to the story, that would because it was said that he created them.
He takes over the role as Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
He takes over that role. So I just thought seeing Reed Richards in that role and just seeing him looking like a grizzled old Reed Richards.
I love that, by the way. That's the Reed I would want because Fox already killed having a young Reed Richards. Fox already killed having a somewhat old Reed. Give me. I'm dumb smart. I'm settled in my smart. My two kids are here.
Well, guys, you got to remember after No Way Home, it kind of go. He it's a possibility that he might not be Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. Because you think of No Way Home, we had two different Spider-Mans that look totally different.
Okay.
So in the multiverses, is a possibility that is.
Well, how many of you guys are familiar with the Ultimate line of Marvel's Ultimate comic book line? That's where I start off.
With a few.
Okay, so I've read everyone except for I've read all the Ultimate comic books except for the very, 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 very recent ones before their conversions into 616. And I actually think there's an opportunity because of some of the things that were dropped in this movie. We are a spoiler-based show.
Yeah, spoiler.
Because of the inversion, I think a good Fantastic movie setup is a Reed Richards that isn't connected to or related to our 616, aware of the incursion and fighting off another Reed Richards who is from a
Okay.
dying universe. Because in the
Universe.
Ultimate Universe, the Ultimate Reed Richards ends up going bat crazy and becomes villainous and actually is aware of an incursion and sets it up. So when you get the whole Doctor Doom,
That's
like World Doom,
Man,
it's
that
actually
is-
because of Reed Richards, evil Reed Richards from Ultimate Universe setting that up.
okay. I'm thinking of different. That's not the one that collected the gems, right? I know there's
Nah.
one in the Ultimates that collected the gems again.
No. This is just Reed Richards, who is still genius level, but now just totally without morals.
Gotcha.
Like basically facilitating an incursion, but wanting to be on top. So I would love to see now you have an old grizzled Reed Richards going against a younger version of himself who maybe doesn't have the same moral pinnings because, like, I don't have children, for example. I don't have a family like that.
Gotcha.
I would say this.
Marvel, hit me up if you want me to be a part of that writing team.
I would say this. Look how they introduced Black Panther. They introduced Black Panther in Civil War, and they didn't need to necessarily go through all the backstory of Black Panther. They touched on some of the key things, and with this Reed Richards coming in, like they've already mentioned, I have children, and their mother is still alive. So for us, I think at that point we can't go. We could probably go back and kind of touch on certain points, but I feel as though that a Fantastic Four movie has to start off from that point, or of
Just with him as a family, absolutely. And I think Marvel, I don't know if it has to, but I think Marvel is smart enough and has learned. And I think they're testing in this is with Spider-Man. Like, do we need to give people the origin they got hit by cosmic rays, or is there a way to allude to enough of it and then give you a different point in their story?
Well,
And I think there's, to your point, Sam's, I think there's some benefits to like giving us a more mature story without giving us all the foundation.
that would be dope, but they will have to explain like where they've been, for however many years that we're in the MCU right now. Like, if there's a superhero fighting family, I think we would have made some type of reference to it.
Well, Legends, I think that's exactly where I'm saying the whole incursion point of this, which I'll add as my very, very final pro, is a smart angle. Because if Reed Richards, and to my knowledge, depending on how they structure it in the comic books, Reed Richards is always a part of the top 5 smartest people. Yeah. I'm not even gonna say top. I don't know, because top 3 could be argued, but I say he's always a part of the top 5 smartest people. It's possible that the one from our universe in his studies, because what if the Baxter Building is literally one of those things that is multidimensional, like a smart Reed Richards? Because in the Ultimate Comicverse, in the Ultimate Universe, one of the things he created, which is the second reboot messed up, was he created an interdimensional travel.
Yeah, like
interdimensional travel. So what if he did?
Oh, actually, they used it. Did he use it in the movie?
I don't even want to reference it too much because they messed it up. In the I'm sticking to my comic book knowledge.
Okay,
he created that. What if in our universe, 616, he created that? Right, the people funding the Baxter Building, including the government, says, "Ooh, okay, I need you to research this." A part of his research, he comes across incursion theory, and now he and his team have been spending basically their lives navigating that, right? Because you got Ben Grimm as your muscle, you got I'm forgetting his name, his brother, the Human Torch, Johnny. You got Johnny's powers. You got your wife who's also brilliant and intelligent. Like, I can see them going into that, and that explains everything, right? That just lets us know how they've always been here, but yet they've never been here.
For those of you that don't get it, it's pretty much like the TVA. It's like it's outside of time and space.
Exactly,
it's its own thing.
Yeah. I can see them. I can definitely see them going that route. Even to show like a small 30-minute of how they got their powers or something to that effect. Because there's a whole new generation of kids who have no idea who Fantastic Four is. Like, they haven't watched the old ones, and some of them probably burned it, so they're not able to watch it. So I feel as though that they might do something like that just to introduce the team, but definitely go the route of these are interstellar, heroes. Just like, the sorcerers, they take care of reality. The Avengers, they take care of physical threats, all that stuff. Fantastic.
That's a great point too, Sam's. Because like Guardians of the Galaxy deal with interstellar, as you said. The Avengers deal with physical, earthly threats. Doctor Strange and his crew deal with the reality-based thing. So what if they're the dimensional team? Like, if Marvel, if the MCU is based on like keeping people in their realms, then they can be interdimensional. They could always be facing someone who's displaced or some incursion-based threat, yada yada yada. And you never necessarily feel like you're crossing boundaries too much, or telling the same story too many different ways.
Right. All right.
Solid point.
If you guys are done with the pros, you can get over to the cons. I will say one last half a pro, half a con.
Okay.
When everybody got slaughtered, man, I enjoyed it because I've never seen something that gruesome on a Marvel film. At the same time, I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that she wrecked everybody. I was like, dang, like, I mean, I get it. That's the Illuminati. I don't want them to just kind of use the Illuminati to promote, use them for this moment, and then that's it. We never hear from them. I feel as though the Illuminati is such a pinnacle story arc that you could definitely use it for future films. And I just hope that they didn't squander this opportunity.
This is just this version. Like, nah, I think they did what they did to give us a reset, and even to maybe anchor the next Illuminati group put together in this, like, because Steven has, like, our Steven has seen this. He's aware of this. So now when he gets together, remember, depending if he's going to be our new Tony Stark, and Tony Stark thinks about every threat, he may get his version of Illuminati to think about now how will we defeat a magic user like Wanda in the future?
Well,
because no matter how strong those guys were, realistically, if that was Wanda from the comic books, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Unless they had the first strike, like they prepared for her coming, that would have happened regardless.
And I was thinking that since Reed Richards is gone in that universe, there's still Franklin in that universe, and Franklin is more powerful than Wanda. Like, Franklin is Franklin. Like, he's on the top. Like, I'm thinking, like, hey, maybe he figured out, like, how to get back to 616 universe and start slaying people, trying to figure out who killed the father. That's another storyline for another.
You got
that's speculations.
And that's too much too, because that is why I think some ways we dislike the DCU, and I think Marvel has been a little bit more mindful. In the comic books, you can always write somebody else in who's just as powerful. Like, you bring in Franklin Richards, like, now we're going to. I stretched my belief already, but now it's too much because this kid in a whole freaking world, a separate world. So, like, that'd be
had a world in his hand.
Hey,
I don't think you're gonna go that route.
Because then now you might as well give me Onslaught, right? Like, just give me the Magneto Professor X fusion.
Nah, too much. That's too much. All right, let's jump over to the cons.
All right, let me go first with this one because
okay.
Let me stretch a little bit. I only really have two cons, really. But I'll start with the first one because Corey, like, Sam's over here. He's been texting us like crazy, like, "Yo, you guys are Marvel watchers. You should know how this works." And I got a rebuttal for that. Sam's.
All right.
In the MCU universe, we the marketing department, we always get a sneak peek trailer. 2 months later, the main trailer, and maybe a TV spot with stuff from those type of trailers. Never in the history of the MCU where we got full-blown spoilers that we got in this marketing campaign that they did. Like, showing Captain Carter, showing Professor X, showing Mrs. Marvel, whoever. I was like, how did you guys let this happen? Like, Marvel is known for giving us fake things in their trailers just to throw us off. And this one, it felt like, nah, we're not throwing nobody off. We're just giving you the movie here. Like, this is everything. All the key events, the big parts, here it is, right here for you. So that's why I was some of the parts underwhelmed. Like, when we first seen the sneak peek trailer and we seen like the little chairs, like, oh, that could be the Illuminati. And we was speculating, like, yo, I think it is Illuminati. And we were so happy about that. But then we start getting like, nah, here go Professor X chair. And that's him. I know you guys thought it was him, but yeah, it's him.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. You're correct.
Yeah, and I just found out they had a TV spot of Living Tribune also showing it. I'm like, why would you show this stuff? Like, it makes no sense. Never in MCU history that I know of in the last 10, 15 years have I seen that type of marketing. So that really killed some of the things in the movie for me, like what Colors was saying when Professor X first started rolling up. I already knew he was gonna be there, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I was just waiting the whole time. When we gonna see him? When we gonna see him? So that was my big negative for the movie, and I don't know why. That's probably why I gave it a low score that I gave it.
Hold on. So just to that point, let's pivot back. Let's pivot back. Somebody bring up the tape. Where's our statistician person, right? Our behind the scenes, because when the brother Colored by Style
that's
said
not
that
what you
about-
said, Colors. That's not what you
I
said, Colors.
distinctly Sam's.
I'll tell you what you said. You tell me if you agree. You said you didn't like the way the Peters was introduced, how Ned did the whole thing.
That was a part of it, and I also articulated the fact that Sony / Marvel had already tried to put a cap on something that was already out there and didn't adjust and pivot. And I think, to me, that's the same energy with this. Like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be very honest with you. My 8.25 is based on 2 watchings and really just kind of settling and considering some of my other ratings. Because that part could have been a major slap. And yet it was like, oh, okay, you know. And so, Corey, Sam's, what's important for me, I'm trying to hold on to, is my whole MCU fan, is the fact that I know that there's gonna be more to this, right? The fact that I know these characters will come up again is actually what's giving me hope. And yet, if we hadn't known that, if they had not spoiled that for us and let us relieve it, even if they weren't going to ever come back again, it would have hit hard, because I would have been like, yo, I just seen the Illuminati on TV. I just seen Mr. Fantastic on TV. I seen Agent Carter, who I always say I'm a big fan of because I liked her as Peggy. I like the show. Yeah. Sometimes I like the ground, the ground thing.
And that was a big one too. Just seeing the Carter shield that they released before, I'm like, yo, why would you do this? Like,
and even the tease, right? So
we saw the tease seeing her in a full uniform.
You got the background here. I think in one of the first promos we saw the tease, and I thought that was cool too. Like, oh, maybe they won't, right? And yet that to me was a letdown. So I'm gonna jump on that. Like Legends, I agree with you. That was a.
And the thing with the teasers, usually if we do get those teasers, like, okay, they showing us this, that means we're gonna get something crazy that they're not showing us. But like, nah, they showed you everything. There's nothing else crazy. That's the crazy right there. And I thought that was a letdown. So, and to back up my stance, Kevin Feige on the red carpet, when they asked him about it, he's like, hey, the trailers already gave too much. So I'm just gonna let you guys watch the movie. Sam Raimi did a great thing. Just go watch it. So
that might have been
not
him
just
too.
Me.
He might have definitely recognized that there was an L there. So because that con is already addressed, I'll address another one. Okay, I need to prepare for Sam's
I didn't even rebut this con, but it's all right.
Go ahead.
You want to, because you're the defender of all things.
I'm gonna defend that.
Okay.
All right. So we've been watching Marvel movies for 10 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now
10 years.
we understand the marketing because we
used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. We used to.
So for whatever reason, the marketing team decided to showcase, to say the word Illuminati, to show parts of the different members of the Illuminati in the trailer. And what you're saying is that part right there took all the wind out of your sail when it came to that part actually revealing itself in the actual movie. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like there was no steam behind it. And like I said, it also in our history of watching MCU films is when they show that stuff it's giving us like, all right, we're gonna give you guys this because we got something like Galactus is coming, but we ain't gonna show you that at all. But we didn't get, it was just a letdown for me. Okay, a big letdown.
I didn't think it was a letdown, only because again, confirmation. So the things about Marvel movies is that they always give you confirmation of what is to come, and I thought that this scene, because sometimes certain scenes, they just literally put it in the movie just for confirmation. I feel as though, if you think about it, do we really need to have this scene in the movie? We probably didn't. We probably didn't need to have him go to the Illuminati and everything like that. We probably didn't need that scene. But they put the scene in the movie because it was a way for them to say, hey, remember X-Men? They played the music and everything like that. Yeah, we're getting the X-Men. We're getting the right type of X-Men with the classic outfits is what I got from it. When you see Reed Richards, we're getting Reed Richards. We're getting the classic Fantastic Four. So for me, I was really giddy about that because it was like, yeah, they showed it, but I didn't know that Black Bolt was going to be there. I didn't know that
Mhm.
Reed Richards was going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of threw me off because I could have said they could have
True
just had those
confession,
two characters and
I
just
went down a
put it
rabbit
in.
hole on Twitter, and you definitely could have found out that Fantastic Four was there. I shouldn't have did it. I hit a link, and it was like the first image that came up. I was
That's
mad as
horrible.
hell, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be. But if you really
I
wanted to,
gotta-
you could have found out.
Listen. My rule. I watched that teaser. I watched that first trailer, and that's it. You already got my money.
That's what I try to do. The thing is, like when you watching YouTube videos, those TV spots just come up so quick. I'm like, oh, and it just catching me off guard everywhere I was going. I don't know.
I don't blame nobody else. I'm not bragging about that. I know that's all my fault. I'm not bragging about that at all. That's my fault. But I'm saying you could have, because I think they had slipped up so much, particularly even like with screenings. Usually you don't even get people who are able to get videos of screenings, but like they were a little lax on this.
Yeah. What other con you got?
Oh, so yeah, so here's my other
Sam's
con.
still rebuttaling.
I mean,
No,
his point
that was-
was, and this is my con. This is my response to Sam's. We said it in the chat. At least I said it in the chat. I think there is this balance between always forward looking and anchoring your viewers in the now. And I think they sometimes, I think they, just to be honest, as MCU, I think they mostly do well with that balance. I really do.
Okay.
In some of the films, though, at least for me lately, some of the hype has been ill balanced. Where I'm like, ugh. Like with Shang-Chi, I actually think you could have done a little bit more promoting. Well, not going too far back, but I think you could have done a little bit more promoting and a little bit more grounding. Still a good movie. But you guys already know how I feel about No Way Home. I was like that, and then same thing with this. Like giving me less would have given me more. Honestly, it would have hit me even more. But that's not my personal con. My personal con is rooted in this. The beginning of the movie, to get to the crux of it all, I felt like that beginning was like bop, 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 bop. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot. Because, for example, there's a lot of leaps and bounds that you have to make and get to from WandaVision to Wanda burning people alive. Okay, and I was thinking about this recently, and after I watched it again, I was like, dang, because I had a feeling the first time I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, so I watched the movie. And then second time, I was like, nope, that's it right there. It was, we see her, she's cutting little flowers, and all of a sudden, shit got the whole thing dark and burnt. First of all, where is that in the world? That was maybe a reference to how powerful she was, because Strange should have known about it, which, I'm trying to let some plot holes go, because, like, he's aware that Loki's on Earth, and Thor's looking for him, but he isn't aware that Wanda has basically rewarped reality, but he was aware of the city where she created the fields. Okay, guys. A little bit of a plot hole.
But is
The
that
jump,
the
though.
role for Doctor Strange? Is that his job?
Yes, he specifically said that in the Thor Loki thing. He says,
he's not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay,
you got him on that one. You got him on that
win.
one. He's
He's
not.
not the Sorcerer
He got
Supreme.
different duties. He got
First of
different
all,
duties now.
not only you
Can't even
came
say
for
that.
Wong.
What
You
was
came
that?
for Wong in the worst way just now, but it's cool. It's a technicality that I can't dispute. So let me stick to the idea though that
All
when
right.
we last see Wanda, she's grief stricken and she's hurt, but she's not a murderer yet and a killer. And from the moment we're introduced to her, within give or take like movie time wise, almost like within 15 minutes, we see her escalate to this place where she's killing people. And I think it would have been nice. I don't know how they could have done this because they had already made up their mind that she was the villain, but it would have been nice to get a little bit more on that setup, because I'm just thinking, for me, if I'm being real honest, I get the city, right? I get what happened there with Westview. It's Westview, right?
Westview, yeah.
I get all of what happened in Westview. And at the end of it, we see her, she's reading the Darkhold, she's looking for her kids. Cool, that's still great. When we set it up, I mean, it went from bright and butterfly to super dark really quick. I'm still cool with it.
So, wait, nah, I gotta stop.
When she's killing people, though, come on.
Colors. I got this, Sam. Don't worry about this one. We're not gonna accept this. Yo, you just went to 10 minutes explaining comics and stuff. You know what the Darkhold is. You know what happens when a user open a Darkhold. That's all the explanation.
Let me introduce Sam's. Thing. This is a Sam's comment right here.
And hold on one second before I finish. We just spent 9 hours on film of watching her grief and then going to finding her kids, losing her family. So we already know her backstory on why she wants to find her kids, and you already know that she has the dark code at the end. That's all you need to know. That you,
I'm
it's
gonna
kind of
say
like you want to be
honestly,
spoon fed.
not
Like,
many people know the Darkhold from the comic books. I will be honest, that's not something I've come across unless you
yeah,
read
but
certain
you
properties.
do.
No, I'm
let
gonna
me
be
throw-
honest. I know the Darkhold from Shield, and
Oh,
with that
okay.
being said, I remember I try to be honest, y'all, about balancing. Even though I have this knowledge, I do try to critique movies based on what they're giving us. And the MCU version of her, I'm not saying I don't consider her going in all in for her kids. I think that was already established. She's willing to do that. But my guys, yo, come on, legend. She went from like, you know what I'm saying, reality warp people's minds to burning suckers alive. Like, poof, be gone. Some of
So
them.
One more thing. Wait, Sam,
rebuttal
Sam,
for that.
Sam,
I got a
Sam, one more
rebuttal for
thing. One more
Okay,
thing.
you
I'm
got it.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We spent 8 hours of a season where she kept everybody as a slave. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, of course she's gonna start burning people alive and stuff and killing people. She was just enslaving people. Go ahead, Sam.
Let me jump in real quick. If you look at the same series, look at Agatha Harkness.
Mhm.
They took the time to show what happened to her when she started to dabble in the Darkhold. She killed her mother, and she killed everyone who was, I guess, crucifying her in a sense. Granted, you could say that's a way of defending herself, but
Mhm.
that's how the Darkhold took over her and allowed her to just wipe out everyone that was close to her, including her mother. So I guess to I Am Legend's point, yeah, we spent time watching this series, and at the very end of the series, we're seeing a normal life. We're seeing her sitting there in a cabin, and then as we go further in, we see her as the Scarlet Witch in the Darkhold. Nails starting to get black, like she is in it.
I
Now,
do
we
love
don't
that
know
little
how
bit of
much time.
detail. That was fantastic. That's a subtle detail you have to pick up on.
Yeah, and like again, you look at how much time has gone by. Like, and Marvel is doing this. I feel like they're doing it deliberate because for phase one, we were able to kind of get an idea of, all right, this happened on this year, this happened this year, this happened that year, and then Endgame confirmed all those dates, right? So I feel as though that they're still being very vague about certain things that are happening, because again, it's like, where in the timeline does all this happen? Eternals, where do they come in? When in the timeline did this happen? Shang-Chi, when did this happen? Spider-Man, you kind of get an idea based on Hawkeye. They kind of made that connection and everything like that. So we don't know how much time has gone by, where Stephen Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. So his task is to protect the New York Sanctum. That is his task. So he can't just up and leave like that, because his job is to take care of the New York Sanctum. But as they saw that there was a multiversal threat, the only person that he knew that he can go to for this information was Wanda. And when he went to Wanda and he saw what happened, where she changed everything and showed, I was looking for this chick, give her up, or
you guys don't. You're missing my. I think in that your explanation is solid. I don't have an issue. Your explanation is solid. I don't have an issue with the story events. It's the character change, like to do something like that.
0 to 10 and like,
and not even 0 to 10. I'm not. Come on, guys, because I know that's a setup to get me later on. I'm not saying it went from 0 to 10. It didn't go from 0 to 10 because she was already on the. She was already on the scale. Okay,
she was like on a 7.
If you consider that they set her up, and they have set her up for a long time to be a hero, and even though a hero that has dealt with tragic loss, I mean, so has Cap, right? So has Iron Man. And while they have done things that are questionable, the level of destruction that we see her exhibit, that you were even like, ooh, that was kind of dark, right? Because that scene was like, again, she didn't just blow people by, she didn't knock them into walls, she evaporated people. You just had her as a hero, and grief-stricken hero at that. She was a hero. So for me, it would have been nice. And I'm not saying this is the movie. This has to be in a movie. I would even prefer a short, like three episode series, right? Of just that descent, just like how in Moon Knight, which I know is another thing for for Sam's, but like give me a descent into that grief stricken, right? Into what it's like for a motherhood to have all those dreams where she's beginning to mix realities, where she sees herself engaging with the kids every day, but then she wakes up and she's back in the mountain. You know, she's trying to navigate her life. Because then I get that. And she maybe in the last episode of that, if I was to do a three episode arc, in the last episode of that, she sees America being able to punch through realities. And now having seen and woken up to the nightmare of your kids all the time, oh, easily I can see her killing people, right? Because I can't deal with it anymore. Because in the comic books, if they loosely were pulling from House of M, it absolutely made sense why she did what she did in House of M.
Yeah.
She was broken, then she healed, then she broke again. I'm done with this. Just rap. No more mutants. Like that would have made sense. And so for me, while this is a con, obviously I'm not saying it torpedoed the whole movie. It wasn't something that I noticed in terms of the setup because of how quickly we went from Chippity Wanda growing apples to Wanda burning people alive.
Okay, man.
That's
Sometimes colors come in and everything and just hurts my heart. Like he knows what Darkhold is. I don't understand.
I gotta be honest, I didn't know what the Darkhold is. I really didn't. I only knew it from Shield, and even then I had stopped watching Shield when they started to use it as a really, really heavy part of the story.
I never watched that part of Shield. But yeah, at the end of WandaVision, once she opened up Darkhold, and then I knew she was gonna be in Multiverse of Madness, I'm like, oh yeah. It's her. She's the reason. Whatever's about to happen, it's because of her.
She did it.
Well, I would say this was a con for me, and I think you guys mentioned it. And when I watched it again, I was like, you know what? I can kind of see that.
It's coming on our side.
Oh, wow. I need to hear it first, though.
So Loki, the series of Loki, the TVA and everything like that. I feel as though that you at some point you have to mention it. Granted, I believe they mention different variants in the movie itself, but they still didn't really touch on the existence of the TVA. And it kind of feels to me like, all right, you're dealing with this multiversal war or the setup to a war. And we got that set up at the end of Loki that this is where we're going with Kang. And we get that. And Loki left us on such a great cliffhanger, right? And I'm like, all right, No Way Home. We kind of touched on that because we saw how the sky was opening up and you got that blue hue, that purple hue, very similar to what we saw in the movie. So you can kind of connect it. But in this movie, we didn't get to that part, and we were in areas like the Junction. Like the Junction looked like, something that would be in Loki. Yeah. And I guess for me, I would have wanted to see more of a connection to Loki because I feel like if any of the series makes sense outside of WandaVision, Loki would have made sense to put in this movie.
And that was gonna be my next con. Once again, they was interviewing Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige was like, well, what happened with the events of Loki since what's his name? He who remains is not there no longer. He wasn't able to stop Doctor Strange's spell in No Way Home, and because of all that, we got the events of this. And I'm trying to figure out like how to connect this. It makes no sense to me. I'd rather see it rather than you tell me.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
But that was gonna be my next con too.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, timeline-wise, for a quick interjection, I think if you're going to keep that as the rationale, then we should have gotten Loki season 2 before we got Doctor Strange, so we can see what the resulting chaos is. Because it's clear he's no longer managing; he left it up to the Lokis, and we don't. And obviously, we saw what happened there. Loki's in a different dimension, and that's I think what Loki series did that may confuse people is they interplayed the word time. Well, I don't want to say time, but the concept of time and verse and multiverse. Mm-hmm. Like a different timeline is technically another multiverse because it's essentially a variation of a decision that leads to this entirely different reality that exists. And I think that can trip some people up because now we're just using multiverse, and it's like, well, this all happened at a time stone. You talk about a fixed point, and then you can erase it, and branching different things. And so maybe that's where the confusion comes in for people. Which is my con, and again, this is purely emotional. It's just a fan of Doctor Strange. I would have liked to get more Strange. What really to me made Loki so dope was that we got a lot of Loki, and part of me wonders if this movie wouldn't have been better as a Disney Plus series to really dig deep into Strange, exploring not just the different multiverses, but his impact on different universes. Because, like I said, comic book Strange is willing to make the sacrifices that no one isn't, knowing that there's a personal, internal toll that some people don't get a chance to see. They alluded to in his relationships, but we didn't get that much. We got Defender Strange dead. We get the illusion of 838 Strange,
right,
also dead, and then we see Dark Sorcerer Strange, who he
And
kills. So I personally think that a con for this being his movie, I think they could have played up him being more at the center of it, and which is a hard thing to do. But I said the Russo brothers showed us that you can do that, because when I think about Civil War, I still see that as a clearly being a Captain America movie through and through,
I agree.
and yet there were mad characters in there.
I agree.
You know, and even the Avengers movies that the Russo brothers did, both Endgame and Infinity War, while there were many other characters, at the core of it, you still had Iron Man and Cap.
Right.
You know, like that. And so with this, I think I lost Strange at some different points, and I would have liked to have seen him more, because not only do I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor and probably could have given us some deep aspects of Strange, I just think for it being his movie, let's give him more. So now the end credits give me hope that maybe we'll come back into being a more intimate, Strange-based story. And that's why this kind of half and half. And I said this to you guys, which is also why I felt like this movie was too busy trying to set up the next. And because of that, you had to pull back. You had to give something up. And part of that was more of the Strange story.
Okay. That's a fair point. I would only say you use a perfect example. Captain America Civil War, where we want the Civil War aspect, in which we got hints towards it. We got a little bit of that fight, but it was still a Captain America story. I think for this movie, I think Sam Raimi was trying to find that balance to say, yeah, this is a Stephen Strange movie, and this is how his character has to deal with all of the stuff that he's done, all the stuff that he has caused, and all the different Stranges that has caused multiversal, calamities. And at the same time, it's a Wanda story as well. You got her arc. When she comes in with it at the end, it is a full circle for her arc.
Yeah.
And even with America Chavez, you introduce a new character to people, and I would have loved to see a little bit more. Yeah, but she was really the plot point of the entire movie, where she was the one that they were trying to get. And I thought it's like there's so much you can do in these movies. There was a report that said that this movie would have been 35 minutes. I think either the original cut or one of the cuts was 35 extra minutes on the runtime. I think that would have helped for this movie.
I think I might disagree with you guys on this one. Like on the fact that I thought that we had a full Strange story from beginning to end. Like in the beginning,
we had a Strange story, yeah. But
like Strange, are you happy? And he going through his life, going through different universes, and he's finding out like, hey, every universe I'm kind of I'm messed up. Like I said in my post, like he either dooming a universe or saving a universe. So I thought his story was pretty good. I didn't think it needed a lot of extra. What I thought it needed extra was some more universes to see. It could have been 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I just want to see, like I said, is multiverse. I just want to see different multiverses. That's all.
Once again, Marvel hit me up for my directorial debut, because I think a good scene, and to balance what I think, Sam's and I do agree on in terms of getting more Strange, but also giving you what you want. Could you imagine now, having really, really felt exhausted of what to do with Wanda, that he uses the Darkhold to commune with all of himself?
Even
to really look at and see what this opportunity was, so that you would have gotten a glimpse of Strange across the board, and Strange counseling Strange. You really would have gotten this image of like, am I really? And there you would have gotten hit with that theme of, damn, I really am unhappy in every freaking universe. What kind of shit is this? You know what I mean? Like, I think that would have balanced this idea of getting more Strange and giving us this glimpse into, this is what it's like for variants. This is the decision where You know, he did choose to go off the Kiki Palmer, but he messed it up because this this world-ending event happened, and maybe he chose to ignore this world-ending event, you know, to stay with Christine. That's a Kiki, but Christine, and then you know, world ended either way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's. I think to your point, we could have definitely got more universe and still got more strange story because at the end of the day, his role kind of differs than the other heroes. Is that he's always probably going to sacrifice for the greater good. Right? To be the best surgeon, he recognized that he couldn't have a good relationship because the best surgeon is always gathering more knowledge, doing the next surgery, right? Pushing himself further. And so to carry that forward would have been really great. And we didn't necessarily get that.
Okay. Are we done with our cons? Because I just want to touch on speculations real quick.
Speculations. Let's go.
All right. So the end credit scene, the one that actually means something. I was aware of the last one. I was like, oh man.
I'm glad I saw that the first time because the second time it was not worth staying around for.
All right, deuces. But yeah, so we see Charlize Theron in the role of what is she? She's Dormammu's niece or something like that.
Clea, yeah, Dormammu's niece.
Yeah.
And Sorcerer Supreme of another universe.
Yes. So she cuts open the universe and boom, there's a dark dimension. Something that we saw on the first. And you know, I was watching the first Doctor Strange, and that part where he had Dormammu in that loop.
Masterful.
And again, I was like,
masterful.
This movie didn't have that scene. And I guess it's kind of a con, but I'm just saying it didn't have that kind of.
Oh, can I build off of that? That scene to me also gave people and gave us a glimpse as to how brilliant he is, and also with the extent he's willing to go to.
Yeah,
that's what that scene told me. Because when he finally got it, it's like, here's the thing, Chief, you can keep killing me, and I'm gonna keep coming back, and we're gonna be here because all you have is time, and now all I got is two.
Yeah, it was
brilliant. It was a brilliant thing, and we got that in Infinity War 2, right? At the end of it, when he goes through everything, and he's like, this is the best play. Or in Endgame when he comes back and it's like,
yeah. I was going to even say when he fought Thanos.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. It was like a chess game, and you just watching them trying to trump each other and doing it a different way. Oh man, it was good. It was good. Anyway, so we see her cutting open into the dark dimension, and then I kind of get why a lot of people kind of didn't like he was walking and then he was and then the third eye popped up, and then at this part of the movie she cuts open the thing and then the eye just pops up again and he's cool with it. Like I was like, like you was in pain just now, and then the next scene you open it up like you good. Like time had to have gone by for you to be cool with the third eye. So now I'm like, oh man, y'all got to explain that now.
Too much. You try to condense too much. Again, Marvel's got to balance. It is a balancing act, and sometimes they mess it up.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was way too rushed. I liked, even if they didn't show that scene where he had the third eye and she comes through and everything like that.
And it pops up regardless. I would have been cool with that. You right?
Yeah, I'd have been cool with that. I'd have been like, oh.
Why show me the pain if you're not going to give any allusions to it?
Right.
But you say you're trying to think about next steps though.
Yeah, that's how they're setting up the next movie. And
what do you think it's going to be? What do you think that next movie will explore?
That's hard because, I mean, we mentioned this in our chat. It looks like they're going towards Secret War, obviously, right? They talked about the multiversal war. Secret Wars is literally a multiversal war. I don't know where you put this movie. I don't know where you put Doctor Strange 3. If you're setting up for this giant war, if he's in the dark dimension, what is the story?
I think that's the start.
I don't understand why he walked straight into it like it was nothing. Like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go handle this. I'm like,
because he's been there, and this is where I think the next story could be. Is it could be after the Secret War, and I think they might pull from the story arc I've been alluding to that everyone should read. Is that we'll see the impact of magic on Strange. Because there's a cost for everything, and so with this other woman, because remember, even the ancient one said it too, like magic, we got to pull it from someplace, right? It ain't really magic. I ain't really just making it pop up. It's coming from something, right? And I think will maybe a good third Strange movie could explore that cost on him while he tries to establish love.
Right.
The balance will be is don't try to give us too much of a love story, because while Clea does become his wife
Right.
in the comic books, I don't know if I want to spend too much time exploring that, right? Like, don't give me all that.
They close the door when it comes to Christine. So
yeah.
But I'm saying, if Charlize Theron's character is in the comic books his wife,
I love it.
I don't want them to spend too much time in the next movie building that up. Give me the damaged Strange who understands that sorcery comes at a cost. So my speculation is, and you said it, I think is going to be the Incursion War. I think what they'll do is to mimic the invasion storyline with a Secret War storyline. Is, instead of it, because it should be Skrulls, but because they made Skrulls good, what if the Incursion has another version of Skrulls, right? Or in this case, it is the Kree that is coming in, and Nick Fury somehow gets wind of it, and it's like, oh, I gotta fight this, right? Because I don't know who to trust. I got these Skrulls who say they're good, and I got these other Skrulls who want to take it over. What do we do? But I think the Incursion storyline is what they're setting up for.
Do you think that, so looking at the Infinity Saga, from the time we got to Avengers, we thought like Avengers was where they plateaued. This is where the story took them. And then you saw Thanos turn his head. So you knew that, all right, we're going to get some version of Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet story. We're going to get that because we show Thanos. You can't show Thanos and not have that story. And Marvel took their time in building that saga. Now, are we at the point, because right now we're starting phase 2, and we've only had maybe like 3 years of kind of building the story. And me personally, I still have no idea where they're going to go. I mean, we're speculating as to they can do Secret Wars. They could do the Incursion. We could Multiversal War. We could do all these different things. I feel like we don't have a roadmap as of yet.
Well, I think everything is leading to like a multiversal war, like both of you guys said. That's like, if you think about it, like the last 3 films, it's all been about the multiverse. The last couple of shows about the multiverse. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing they're leading up to that point. How long it's gonna take to get there, I have no clue. I know Kang is supposed to be in Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man Wasp. Yep. So Quantum maybe, and then we got Loki season 2 coming. So maybe it's like slow burn, like you said. Maybe it's just like, this is just the peek into it. Like, this is just open the door. We just step the foot across of it, something like that.
Could Ant-Man be the movie that blows the door off of what we're going to get?
Possibly. And Feige may be very careful and cautious about how, to your point about locking this out, because once you go in this direction, there's no coming back. And now with the opportunity to have all of their properties, I think we're in the right realm in understanding or believing that like it's a multiversal war we're going to get, because now you can just pull individual characters from these separate movies and just give us one thing. Where I think the big mystery for us comes in is because now they have Disney Plus. And like I said, I'm finding sometimes that getting to explore these characters in a Disney Plus series is better. For example, I may be okay with not having a Doctor Strange movie 3 if you're going to give me a Disney Plus series. Like if you give me, again, more time to dig deep into who Strange is.
That's fair.
And he pops up in another movie, like to do, I'd be good with that.
That's fair.
And I think that's where I'm imagining right now Feige is trying to balance, because you have this other now opportunity that has proven to be successful, starting in Netflix long ago, and now this, because in a multi-strange war, I mean, could you imagine the team of Daredevil alongside a Mr. Fantastic, also alongside like a Beast? I'm not even going to go to a major pop on, but like just a Beast, who's also alongside of another version, Wanda. You know, like you have all these different properties now, and you can really do that, and they're all fighting Doom.
See,
that's the universe that I think I saw, by the way. And one of the things he's going through,
Doom's universe is like Castle or something, right? That's what I referenced to.
Doom. That's what I thought I saw.
it's I might have. Well, we don't know yet, but with the multiverse, it could become an issue. With yes, you got a whole bunch of characters to pick from, but are you gonna be able to get those characters? Like these are actual real people playing these parts, and not everybody's signing contracts and things like that. So
It's Feige. When I tell you he has, and
Disney.
every good movie that deals with time, you always see the
Yeah.
red string tied between papers. My man is already in his.
Mhm.
Okay, if I follow this thread, and he's going to be available here, and
Hey,
if I do
man.
that,
I hope so, because like I said,
Because even
in my mind, I'm thinking like everybody's coming back. We're gonna see everybody every scene from Iron Man 1 to now. So if
no, I don't
if
think
he
he'll
could
do
make
that. I don't think he'll do that. Now we may get a quick reference, like a literal like shot,
gotcha.
end of Iron Man death scene where you get that,
Yeah.
but the fight will be a small group
Mhm.
of individuals. Cool, and I say that because again, the Disney Plus gives you this different avenue that people may want more. I mean, you may get more for that, right? With the
Yeah.
series, like it could be because Harry Potter did the whole 6 movies, right? But finishing up the end.
Mhm.
What if Secret War was the start, but the Disney Plus series was the breath of it into another movie? So you watch the first movie, sets it up, then you
Yeah.
got a Disney Plus series that gives you details, and then you end in another big movie that gives the actors time to
Yeah.
separate things,
Mhm.
and you go from there.
I can see that. I would also say after Logan, Patrick Stewart said he would never play the role of Professor X again, and he came back in the role. Actually, a better version that Fox has
Hey,
ever.
whoa! Don't do that to my guy, James McAvoy, because his
I'm talking
Professor
Patrick
X.
Stewart's version.
Okay, I'm just
Patrick
saying.
Stewart's version. James McAvoy. If I could get him in the MCU as a younger, I'm good with that too. I'm good
If
with
you
that.
watch the Ten of X series, I definitely think James McAvoy could play that Professor X.
Okay. Yeah.
In the recent Professor X arc. Yeah, the world is this oyster, right? Like right now, Disney has basically told Kevin Feige, we got the pocket, son. Like throw it in the bag. Just throw it in the bag.
That's it. Wait, how much they want? Oh, that's it. All right.
Throw it in the bag.
That's it. All right. Let's throw something else at them. All right.
Oh, one more spec. Sorry, one more spec.
Oh,
I think Fantastic Four is going to show up in Ant-Man 3. I think it's gonna be. I don't know. They're gonna probably mention it or something like that if they don't show up. But I think that'll be the movie.
I can see them doing that.
Since Nathaniel's technically the great grandson of Mr. Fantastic. So
Do you think we'll? I mean, this is a bit of a stretch because you have, and this was always an issue, even at the last Fantastic Four movie with Michael B. Jordan. It was like, all right, he's black, and the rest of the family's white. How is this going to work? And now we have Kang, who's a black man, and how are we going to get there? Do you think?
that's easy to do.
I think I have an answer because one, in a lot of the versions, Kang definitely is always drawn as either being ethnic, like Asian ethnic.
Yeah.
In this case, making him black is not an issue. It adds to me more diversity in character because like one of the characters that I think if they are setting up the Young Avengers will be Iron Lad, and Iron Lad would now be a young black Kane. And if they still do Patriot, it'd be great to have now 2 black characters on that team as opposed to just our usual token one. Right. Because we'll have 2 black characters, Kamala Khan, the white girl, and if they even throw in Squirrel Girls for a nice mix, we still have some diversity. Because I don't know if we'll ever get a Miles Morales in the MCU and I won't say in our watching, not lifetime. I could be dead, but like, you know what I'm saying? In our heyday.
I think we will see that in, unfortunately, Sony, because right now Sony still has a grip on Spider-Man. So I can see them doing that. So how they end up doing it, all they got to do is just take Enter the Spider-Verse and make that live action. Don't change nothing. Do everything the same. And you got it. All right, folks. So let me ask you guys. Now, we asked our ratings earlier, about an hour and some change ago. Now, I'll start from Color by Styles, go around. Did your rating stay the same, or did it go up? Did it go down?
I gotta say, you know what? Because of some things that Legend said, and I got to keep my same energy. I feel like it went down to what 8. I ain't gonna drop it too much lower than that, just to be honest. But I feel like if I had the feeling and energy that I did for No Way Home, it 8 is where it falls for me because I know other movies I've given different scores, and it's definitely better. Like for example, I agree with you, right? Like it's better than Shang-Chi. I gave Shang-Chi, I believe, a 7 or somewhere on there, so I can't give it that.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's just gonna be a solid 8. That's where you are.
Oh,
I'm Legend.
so I think I'm gonna keep it at 7.7.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it there. I don't want to do too much with it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I liked it. Didn't love it. It could have been different. I don't know. Maybe another universe. I probably enjoyed it because I didn't see none of the trailers, and I was probably ecstatic. That's a possibility.
Okay.
What about you? 9 still?
I would say, based on our conversation, just based on the points that y'all gave, I would say I would bring it to about an 8.7. And the reason why I would bring it down by an 8.7 is the points that you guys gave about the Illuminati, and some of the points that you gave where it didn't quite feel like a full Doctor Strange movie. And parts of me is like, as much as I love what they did with Wanda and showing that story arc, I kind of wanted that balance. And you using Civil War as an example, to me, was like, yeah, that's exactly how they could have approached it. So I would bring my score to an 8.7 out of 10 for this movie. I don't think it's. I think the Illuminati reveal, I geeked out over that whole thing. Even the whole fighting, the death scenes, I geeked out the entire time. I loved every minute of it. But that still doesn't take away from the full story.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all making some time tonight. I know that it's a little bit of a time constraint on your part, but I do appreciate y'all being able to have time to talk. Next movie that's coming out is Thor: Thunder.
Yeah.
So
Love and Thunder. Ooh,
that's like 2
gonna be
months.
interesting.
That's 2 months from now. So
Wait, next is July? I thought it was June. It's in July?
I thought it was July.
Okay.
I thought it was June. I thought it was actually sooner. I expected July, but I feel like it's sooner than I was expected.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
July 8th.
Oh yeah, July 8th. You're right.
Oh wow.
July. Okay.
So we have about 2 months to build that up, and I don't know. I don't know about this movie. Like
You're skeptical. Ty
I don't know about this movie.
I gotta go back against you. Taika Waititi has proven.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing else that he can do is somehow give you an action movie that makes absolutely no sense that you will laugh at.
I agree with that 100%. But if you guys are gonna if you're gonna show
Ragnarok,
me gods, I want to see the gods. I don't want them. I don't want to see a live action Disney Hercules movie. You know, I don't want to see that. I want to see gritty type. I mean, and that's not his style.
I was gonna say, like, you already set yourself up for failure because that's definitely not his style.
Well,
but
it's the God Butcher, so it should be a little gritty.
No, but it's Taika Waititi. So wow, who did we get? In Ragnarok, right? When we expected the flame, what's the Surtur? Right,
Yeah.
Surtur was both exactly what I expected and then nothing of what I expected. Especially because it was more so the response between him and Thor.
that was
It's like, hold on, give me a second.
hilarious.
Going back around. Like, you know what I'm saying? So he'll give you kind of like what you expect, and at the same time to be like, I didn't
expect
see.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the God Butcher literally being a butcher who gets upset that the gods didn't respond to like his prayers for good meat.
Yeah.
Like, it's Taika Waititi. Like, it's possible.
Okay. Well, we will be discussing that when it comes out for sure. I want to thank y'all again for making time tonight. Talk about this movie. Please comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Click the notification so you can know when we drop new stuff. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, fellas.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.